Hi, I'm Glenn Whipp with the Los Angeles Times. The Grinder is finishing its first season on Fox. Great new comedy. Joining us from the show, Fred Savage.
Hello, hi.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Very excited to be here.
So it is just finishing. We're maybe 3 episodes away.
Yes, exactly. We have a new episode airing tonight on Fox, and we have 2 more after that. So we finished filming about a month ago, but there's still a few more episodes left to share with everybody.
And I hope more after that too.
I hope so. I mean, we're now in this waiting ground, the upfronts that Fox has, or that all the networks have, are in May, beginning of May. So we're gonna kind of await our fate, I guess. So now it's kind of like this weird middle ground of we're on TV and we are waiting to hear what's gonna happen for next year.
Which is bizarre to me because I have not read one bad word about the show, and mostly, it was a show that seemed to find its stride almost immediately, and it find its voice, and it's just gotten more confident and stronger as the season's gone on.
Yeah, I feel like we are really proud of the work that we did from the jump. I mean, even just from the pilot, I feel like Jared and Andy, the guys who created the show, and the cast, we all had this very clear idea of the kind of show we wanted to make. And even more than that, sometimes you don't always know the kind of show you want to make, but we knew the show we didn't want to make. So even more than what we did want, we knew what we didn't want.
Okay, what was the show that you didn't want to make?
Well, we just wanted to do something that was a little different. I think that we wanted to do something that turned the family comedy and turned the office comedy kind of on its ear a little bit, and examined the fallacies of those archetypes. And but at the same time telling our own story. Mm-hmm. So we were kind of trying to do something, make a good TV show while skewering good television shows.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like this fine line we were trying to walk between parody and sincerity. And I think that we kind of found that groove early on, and the people that found us and liked us really got into it and really bought into what we were trying to do. And so, like you said, critics, journalists, fans, people who found the show and gave us a chance all just loved it. And I feel like it's a very difficult tightrope to walk, to kind of make a show that's tonally very different. And I feel like we really nailed that, and it feels good. And I think we've done some really terrific work. And so the more people that watch it, there seems to be this great groundswell building. So I think if given an opportunity to do a second season, I think we could really do something special.
Yeah. And your character, Stewart, competent lawyer, attorney, good guy, good father, good husband. His brother Dean played an attorney on television.
Yes.
And now kind of thinks he's a lawyer. And then so that's the dynamic between the two brothers. But what's interesting as the season's kind of gone on is Dean now sort of dealing with identity crises, he's not that lawyer anymore. Your character kind of is a little bit jealous of Dean and his charisma and wants to become a little bit more like him. So they're moving toward the middle, I guess.
It's true. I think that when we first started out, I was a very normal, lawyer, family man, doing simple law, living a simple life in Boise, Idaho. And Dean comes in, played by Rob Lowe, just this beloved celebrity from television, thinking he can just step in and become a lawyer and step into this life.
He knows a lot about the law.
He does, surprisingly so. Yeah, the writers had a lot of great research on his show. But he thinks he can kind of step into this life that I've spent my whole adulthood cultivating, and I just think it can't work that way. And clearly it can. And so he's slowly becoming part of this world that we live in. And I think that what I really love about it, and the evolution of Stewart, as you kind of noticed as the season has gone on, is I bristle at Dean's idea of pretending to be something he's not. And as the seasons come on, Dean is kind of a ridiculous character, but he's really true to himself. He really is a sincere person in his total lack of sincerity.
Right.
And I think as the season's gone on, he's become a very sincere person. And we start looking at, because we all are wearing some mask in our life. We're all some kind of fraud. You know, we're all pretending to be something that we're not,
Right.
to one extent or another. And I think the more true Dean stays to himself, the more he reveals kind of the fallacies that we're all living. And that's really embodied in the storyline that we have at the tail end of our season about our dad being accused of misconduct, and they're going after his law license. And he's been hiding something, and we've been knowingly or unknowingly covering for him. So as the show's gone on, it really has started to explore, I think, these deeper issues of the masks we all wear, and the characters we're all kind of pretending to play in our everyday life. Dean is just the most obvious one because he literally played a character on television. But as the show's gone on, we've explored it more deeply, and I think to a really interesting extent.
Yeah, I mean, you're called upon a lot. I mean, throughout to your exasperated face, probably, just like you cannot believe what's going on. That expression, you've come up with a lot of different ways to convey just disbelief.
Yeah, well, I think that, Stewart really had this really terrific life that he loved, and he worked very hard, to achieve. He's got a law practice, he's got a wife, he's got a son and a daughter, and he lives this very nice life, and Dean has just thrown this boulder into what was a very still pond, and he's just trying to regain equilibrium. And throughout the year, because I think it can be a trap to just play exasperation all the time. There's degrees. So, but I think that to try and regain, he just wants to regain equilibrium, whatever that looks like. So at the very beginning, it was get Dean out of there. Let's get back to how it was. Then he realizes Dean is not going anywhere. So it's like, okay, let's embrace that and see what happens there. Maybe I can meet him in the middle. So I think he's doing whatever he can to kind of steady the boat, because it just got hit with this just tidal wave. So that's kind of been Stewart's path, is to try and steady the ship in whatever form that takes. And I think that the writers have done a terrific job in giving Stewart and giving me a lot of opportunities to right the ship in a variety of ways.
I read a quote from you where you were saying that you really like playing the guy who's the only person in the room who sees clearly when everyone else is crazy. You said that attitude really speaks to you. Why does that? Are you typically surrounded by craziness in your life?
Well, I think we all feel like we're the only sane person in the room.
Right. Would your wife agree with that?
She would agree that I'm the only. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But yet, I know it's true. Yes. But I think we all feel that way at one time or another. That whether it's at work or at home or with a group of friends, or whether we're sitting. We were just talking about sitting at a movie theater when everyone's around you who's texting. We all feel like we're the only person that sees the world for what it really is. If everyone just got on board with how we saw the world, it'd be great. And
sounds like Curb Your Enthusiasm, basically.
But I think the great thing about Curb is it really tapped into a frustration that we all have, and he said everything to everyone that we always wanted to say to people. And I feel like Stewart, I didn't really realize he was that closely related to Larry David on Curb Your Enthusiasm till you just brought it up. But I do feel like he is really committed to, he really sees the truth of the world and just wants everyone to see the world the way he does, and then we'll all be fine. And he just can't believe why people have their own points of view. And they actually might like Dean, or they might think he's charming, or they might think that I'm a little jealous, or that I'm going a little too far to kind of discredit him. So I think that that idea of being the only person who can see the world for what it really is really taps into to something I feel, and I think it's a frustration that all of us at one point or another share. And I think that's one of the things that makes Stewart, I think, kind of the entry point for the show. I think we can all relate in some way to Stewart. I think we all want to be Dean, but we're all really Stewart. And I think that that's kind of the balance of the show. I think people can kind of get into the show through Stewart, and then kind of aspirationally want to be like Dean.
And you say we all want to be like Dean. 22 episodes ago, you were kind of intimidated to work with Rob Lowe. I mean, because his movies had been kind of signposts in your young life.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Rob was someone throughout my entire life was probably the coolest guy you could ever imagine. You know, whether it was St. Elmo's Fire to you know, Tommy Boy and Wayne's World to Behind the Candelabra. Like for 40 years, 30 years, he was the coolest guy in the world.
Right.
And so to be able to kind of match wits with him and pair up with him and play opposite him I don't know if it was intimidating as much as it was just really exciting. I think that I just wanted to be able to kind of partner up with him, and you know, we had not met before we started on the show. So we just kind of met as we were doing it. And we just really lucked out, and I feel incredibly fortunate to have found this terrific partner in Rob. And we got along professionally, personally. We just had so much in common. We had very similar work ethics. We have very similar priorities in our personal life. And we just became a terrific team. And I think that chemistry that we have off camera really translates to our relationship on camera. And it just made the show even better, which is not something you could anticipate.
Right.
And it just worked out that way.
He said one reason he thought it worked out was because both of you had been child stars, and then you came through it, and you're still working, you're still around today, you still have a career, and that was like something you shared, and not a lot of people can say that in this business.
No, and we've talked a lot about that, about you know, it's just such an odd way to grow up.
Yeah.
And to be working alongside other people who share that similar oddity in your
Right.
childhood, it's a rare thing. But I think that people that come out the other side and stay in entertainment, you know, they share a lot of core qualities. I mean, we're all very different people, but I think we share a really strong work ethic. I think we all share that we have a really strong support system, whether it's friends or family, or a cobbled together family that we've put together over the years. We all share a very strong support system. And I also think we all kind of see through the smoke screens of celebrity or success. Because when you've been doing it for 30 or 40 plus years, you know that that's kind of a fleeting thing.
Right.
People are up, people are down, people are famous, people are not. And what is true through all that is just the work. And if you do good work and just focus on that and let all that other stuff fall away, that's really what's going to carry the day for you, for longevity, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think that, among other things, but those three key qualities, I think we all share, people who've kind of come out the other end. Again, we're all very different people, but I think when you look at those people who've come out from acting as a young age into adulthood, still in show business, we share those kind of core qualities.
Yeah. We have some questions from our readers. Jack from Facebook asks...
He's coming out live, like right now?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, okay. Someone's
Do
watching. It's fantastic. Terrific.
Do you see Rob's character, Dean's bachelorhood, grinding to a halt? No,
Oh,
we'll
that
use
is
grinding to a halt.
You should
anytime
definitely
soon.
use that. That's a great
Is he
use
going
of
to
the word.
find some domestic stability?
I
He
think
seems to want it.
I do think he seems to want it, but he's also managed to avoid it his entire life. And I think that just for the show, it's nice to draw as many opposite corollaries, between Stewart and Dean. So I think that one of the things that makes Dean so compelling, and I think that Stewart really feels for him, is the fact that there's so many things in his life that he lacks, and he sees in Stewart's life that he really wants. That's one of the things I love about the show, is that it's not a sibling rivalry show. We both kind of really appreciate what the other has. I look to Dean and I see someone who is valued and heard and celebrated and listened to, and that people look to when they need something. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I wanted to position myself in my life, but I don't have that. Dean looks at Stewart and sees someone who's settled and stable and is loved and has a family and has deep roots. And that's something that Dean has never had in his own life. So I think that, and Stewart sees that in Dean, and that's what makes him really feel for him a lot of times. So I think for a while it'd be great to play Dean as the lone wolf. Not only does it help the show and gives more contrast between the brothers, but I think it kind of deepens Dean's character and the sense of longing and yearning for something. And then also, it just seems like a terrible waste to have Rob Lowe
Settle down.
not date a lot of people. I think that we've had fantastic guest stars who've come in as love interests for Dean, whether it was Maya Rudolph or Christina Applegate or Jenna Fisher, like just these killer women to come in and spar
Actresses
with
are
Dean.
Lining up for this opportunity.
I mean, I would. I'm married on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that both from an emotional standpoint for the show and just a pragmatic standpoint for the show, keeping Dean single, I think, is best for now.
All right. You said it wasn't it's not a sibling rivalry show, but we had a question from a reader asking, have you had any sibling rivalry issues in your own life?
No, I feel like I've been very lucky in that me and my brother and my sister have all pursued a career in entertainment, in the arts. And we've only supported one another. There's never been any jealousy or rivalry. I feel like, especially with my brother Ben, who was also on television at a young age, it's a very odd way to be. It's a very strange, different way to grow up. And there's not a lot of people you can turn to say, hey, how do you handle this? Or can I get some advice here? Or whether or not you consciously ask for it, just to observe someone else going through it, you don't have those people to look to. And I had my brother growing up in the next room. So we really leaned on each other and supported one another. And my sister is a phenomenal actress. Performed at Lincoln Center and the Disney Concert Hall. She's an incredibly talented musician and actress, and she is a drama teacher now. So she's exploring the arts in her own way, and we've all supported one another. So there hasn't been any rivalry, which I think has been very good.
We had a question from Kel from Facebook asking why The Grinder was the show that brought you back to acting. And I think the answer is you just didn't want to face the guy at your daughter's school, right?
That is the answer. That is the answer. Nick Stoller, who is one of the executive producers of the show and a phenomenal writer and director, came to me with the script, and really, I joke that I wasn't really interested in doing it, but my wife was like, "Look, I'm friends with his wife. You're going to see him a lot at school. Just don't make it awkward. Just go take the meeting so it's not weird." And I'm like, "Honey, it would be weirder if I take the meeting and then say no." She goes, "Just take the meeting. Just do it, okay? You're an idiot." So I did, and I mean that is what got me in the room. But then beyond that, once I met the creative team, Nick and Andy Mogul and Jared Paul and Jake Kasdan, Melvin Marr, this incredible creative team that was behind the show, I really wanted to kind of join forces with them. They were an inspiring group, and the script itself, as I said earlier, it just felt something that was something different. And I had no intentions of going back into acting. It was not part of the plan at all. But I thought, well, gosh, if I'm gonna do it, why not do it with this group of people who I really like? And do something that's different. I felt like even in failure, we will at least have gone down trying to do something interesting.
Yeah.
And that felt exciting to me. And now in success, it's even better. That people are watching it and responding to it and liking it and kind of egging us on. I feel like sometimes the stuff we do on the show is so out of left field for kind of network television. I feel like sometimes I tell people we're kind of like, the person at the bar that everyone's kind of egging on, like, oh, yeah, it's great. And we're kind of doing it. So I like that we're being egged on and that people are responding to it.
Yeah. Wonder Years.
Yes.
Kevin and Winnie, people are still like heartbroken that somehow they did not end up together. But I mean, the reality is you never end up with your childhood sweetheart.
That's why
right?
you never do. You never do, and that's what makes it so bittersweet.
Right. But here's my question to you.
Yes.
As I'm preparing for this interview.
Okay.
It says like on your IMDb page.
Uh-huh.
You're married. We've heard about your wife.
Yes.
She calls you an idiot from time to time, rightfully so, appropriately, I guess.
Yeah, I used the wrong knife today to cut an apple, and it was I mean, like a moron.
But on IMDb, it says that you married your childhood sweetheart. That's how it's put.
Well,
You married your childhood sweetheart, and you're going around saying that it doesn't work out.
I knew Jennifer when we were younger. We did. We grew up in the same town. We grew up in Glencoe, Illinois, which is a suburb just north of Chicago, and we knew each other when we were younger. We went to the same grade school, but then we weren't sweethearts. We didn't. I mean, we were like 7, so we didn't really.
Friends.
Yeah, but we knew each other. And then there was like 10. There was 10 years at least where I was in LA and she was in Chicago. And we didn't talk. We didn't really communicate. So
She was watching The Wonder Years and pining.
not even. Not even. You ask her. I'm like, you never watched it? She goes, I didn't really watch it. I'm like, okay, honey. I think she's just trying to be cool. I think she watched it all the time. In my mind, she had posters of me on her wall and was like, one day. But she tells me that's not the case.
Yeah.
So we weren't sweethearts. We knew each other. We definitely knew each other. And I think having that bond, where we can make jokes about our Miss Caruth, our grade school art teacher, and not jokes. I mean, she was a great art teacher. But we have that in common.
Miss Caruth is watching.
Yeah, Miss Caruth is watching. Or Miss Hampton, MYOB. She would say that in gym class. But it's nice to have that common connection. I think we really built a relationship kind of on that commonality. But we weren't childhood sweethearts. Don't worry. Yeah, we're not denying the world something that I myself enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And so
Although
now,
I guess in relation to my wife, we are.
and now you have three.
I hope.
And now you have 3 kids.
We have 3 kids.
Oldest is 9.
Yeah,
right?
Oliver's 9. My daughter Lily is 7, and our little guy, our baby Augie, is 3.
So on the Grinder, Dean sits the family down to watch old episodes of the Grinder.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird but funny. Do you sit your family down to watch old episodes of the Wonder Years?
Almost nightly. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, we don't have to sit down and watch it because
Yeah.
it's just on loop.
Right.
On all the screens all the time at the house. So it's not. We don't sit down and watch it as much as we just kind of live among it, amidst it.
And like the Grinder, there's many lessons to be learned. Wonder Years
we talk
too,
about
right?
it. What do you feel? How? What do you think? No. We don't. But I will tell you that my mom. So my kids, sleep over at my mom's house quite a bit. They love sleeping over at JoJo's house. But she shows them episodes of the Wonder Years. So it's this whole experience that they share with my mom.
Yeah.
And they'll come back and talk to me about it, but they really just share it with my mom, which is great. It's great.
All right. So they look forward to this sleep. It's not a point yet where they're like, oh no, we don't want to go over there because she's going to make us watch the Wonder Years. No.
I mean, not yet. Not yet. Now it's like a great punishment.
Yeah.
Like, so she'll be like, you guys can't watch the Wonder Years. They'll be like, oh, okay, we'll do whatever you want. So they like it. But I don't sit down and watch it with them.
Yeah.
Not yet, but my mom is educating them in that part.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. Really enjoyed season 1 of The Grinder. Hope there's season 2. Can't imagine that there won't be.
I feel like the thing I always say about comedies is I think drama is very universal. What's sad, if your parent dies, you lose your job, your dog gets hit by a car. What's sad and upsetting, I feel, is very universal. But what's funny is very individual.
Specific, yeah.
Because one of those 3 things someone might find very funny. What we find funny is very specific. And I feel like all the great comedies on television are the ones that I've really loved over the years. Whether it's Seinfeld or Raymond or All in the Family or 30 Rock or The Office. I mean, they're all they were all kind of slow builds because it was this. They were all doing something slightly different, that no one, they were like, wait, it took them a minute to kind of get on board. But once they did, it was this very loyal fan base. So we're hoping we can follow in the footsteps of those shows and kind of build on a great first season where we really kind of planted our flag in the sand and said, this is the kind of show we want to be and this is the kind of show we want to make. And people have responded. So hopefully we can build on that in season 2, because I feel like the most interesting comedies are that that slow, steady build.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
And for more of these Emmy conversations, please go to latimes.com. Thanks for watching.